Así es, y el sábado lo vamos a demostrar con calma. He still has it, and Saturday we're going to show it by knockout.
Then, right? Do you believe you knock him out?
Yeah, why not?
I don't want to see Terence fight Canelo, but I would love to see him fight anybody in that division, because even up to 154, because I think he's the cream of the crop.
At the final press conference, Canelo Alvarez's trainer Eddie Reynoso sent a fiery warning to Terence Crawford. He promised fans would see the best version of Canelo on Saturday night, predicting a knockout win and insisting Canelo's power and experience would overwhelm Crawford.
I think of him sometimes like Marvin Hagler, who when he fought Duran, he gave him too much respect, and it was close. So when he fought Hearns, he thought, no, I'm going to go knock him out. What mentality do you want Canelo to have for this fight?
Recuerda un poco más de Jaime y lo que tuvo que hacer. Cuando ves a Canelo, ¿cuál es la mentalidad que él tiene que hacer? Lo mejor de su carrera, lo mejor de 20 años de preparación y de peleador, eso se va a ver el sábado. This is the best Canelo we're going to see in 20 years of career, and we're going to show it Saturday.
Canelo Alvarez has always carried the aura of a confident champion who thrives under pressure. In a recent statement, he made it clear that he looks forward to facing Terence Crawford and boldly promised a knockout. Such declarations are nothing new for Canelo, who has built his reputation on being outspoken and fearless. His knockout power has defined much of his career, dismantling some of the best names in boxing. By guaranteeing a stoppage win over Crawford, he sends a psychological message to both his opponent and the fans.
Bomac might throw the towel in to stop the fight.
Oh, could be. In boxing, everything can happen, right?
Do you believe you knock him out?
Yeah, why not?
Canelo, you said last year you have everything to lose and nothing to gain. And because you said if he wins, if you win, he'll say he's too small.
Yeah.
Is that still the same for you now?
No, when you don't have in mind one fight, you think in that way. But when you see how big is this fight,
while Alvarez acknowledged that Terence Crawford looks impressive in his new physical shape, he quickly added that none of it matters once they step into the ring. Canelo stated the fight will ultimately reveal who he truly is as a champion. He explained that whenever a big fight is announced, conversations, speculations, and doubts always arise from different corners. Fans and analysts each hold their own beliefs, fueling debates about the outcome. Yet Canelo's stance remains firm. No matter what others predict, he believes he will have the final say by proving himself inside the ring.
It's good. I feel happy because that you realize it's gonna be a good fight. So we expect a good fight.
There are rumors circulating. A lot of people, conspiracy theories, think that it's photoshopped. What's your opinion?
I don't think so. I don't think so. People always talk, speculate and everything, but that's good. Around big fights always happen.
You're somebody who has moved up and through the weights himself. What do you think the biggest challenge of it is, and what do you think he maybe is underestimating with it?
No, maybe they know, but if not, I'm gonna remind them September 13. I can do a lot of things in the ring, and I'm gonna.
Veteran trainer Abel Sanchez voiced strong concerns about this matchup, stating he does not want to see Canelo Alvarez face Terence Crawford or anyone else in that division. Sanchez argued the size difference is too drastic and could become dangerous. His view reflects the worry that Canelo, who has already moved through multiple weight classes, might be pushing himself too far by taking on opponents with significant size disadvantages. From Sanchez's perspective, such fights risk compromising Canelo's longevity and placing him in unnecessary danger.
I don't want to see Terence fight Canelo, but I would love to see him fight anybody in that division, because even up to 154, because I think he's the cream of the crop.
Well, why not Canelo? Is that just a little too much?
It'd be like Canelo fighting the Charlo. He just, even though he's got a lot of talent, it's just not enough.
Former world champion Carl Frock observed that Crawford's current condition makes him look both big and strong, which could pose problems for Canelo in the fight. Frock also reminded fans that Canelo has not been invincible throughout his career, pointing to his loss against Floyd Mayweather and, more recently, Dimitri Bivol, fights that proved Alvarez can be beaten by the right opponent. According to Frock, these setbacks show that Crawford's size and strength could apply serious pressure on Canelo in the ring.
Good. Counter punches, fast hands, naturally the lighter man, so it's going to be naturally the quicker man. But I said earlier, he's looking bigger and stronger, so I think he's going to be able to cope with pressure from Canelo at times. But Canelo, I'm talking about, how does he win? And I think use his size, his strength, and his weight advantage, his natural weight advantage, to sort of bully Crawford around and push him back and put him under pressure, if indeed he can. And I just think that his natural ability, he's got high work rate, Canelo. He throws combination punches. He's great with a jab. He's defensive. He's a masterclass in here. He does everything really, really well, exceptionally well. But he's also tough. He's never been down, never been put over, never really looked like he'd been hurt. I mean, he's had a couple of losses, hasn't he? He's lost to Mayweather, he's lost to Dimitri Bivol, but he never really looked hurt. I think Bivol caught him with a couple of shots that may have buzzed him. He never went anywhere, did he? Never touched down on the canvas. So for Crawford to actually hit him and hurt him, or hit him and put him away, I can't see that happening. Canelo just needs to do what Canelo does, which is busy, excellent boxing masterclass work, but on his front foot and put Terence Bud Crawford under pressure. And that will probably be enough for him to get the job done. Now, for Crawford to win this fight, he's going to have to box and move, use his speed, use the ring craft, you know, the skills that we've seen time and time again. Ricky Burns, I mentioned, Kell Brook, the big win against Errol Spence. Nobody thought that would be a one-sided whooping, but that's what it was. Terence Crawford outclassed Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a phenomenal fighter. We know how good he is, and look what Bud Crawford managed to do to him. Such a quality fighter, and he's unbeaten as well. So he's coming into this fight, doesn't know how to lose. I know he's older than Canelo Alvarez. Has he got one eye on retirement? Maybe, but he's not going to want to go out on a loss. So Crawford needs to be fast behind the jab, combination punches, busy body and head, fast leg work all the way around the ring, use his speed, make Canelo reach.
Veteran broadcaster Jim Gray described this showdown as one of those rare fights that only come along once in a while. For Gray, the appeal lies in both Canelo and Crawford being regarded as two of the greatest fighters of their era. The matchup is tough to predict, as each brings distinct advantages. Alvarez with his power and experience from countless high-profile battles, and Crawford with his versatility, skill set, and unbeaten momentum. Gray's remarks underline why this fight captivates fans. It isn't one-sided, but a clash of two icons whose strengths could deliver a classic.
To break down a fight, I mean, obviously the big focus is on the weight and coming up in the division. And, but look, Terence Crawford fights from both sides. And while Canelo has fought guys who, have been southpaws and so forth, they usually don't switch in the middle of the round. So you never know what can happen in these fights. Canelo is a bigger guy, and Canelo, we saw what happened to him when he went up against Bivol. So we know what that looks like. And so, it's a tough assignment to move up in weight, but Terence Crawford has taken on every tough assignment. And he looks in great shape, and, this guy's really something. So it's hard to say, if you start analyzing and breaking this down, there are advantages.
Former world champion Steve Collins offered a balanced take on the matchup, admitting he cannot pick a clear winner since Canelo still has enough left in his career to beat Crawford. While Crawford may be the best fighter today, Collins emphasized that both men have qualities that could secure victory. Alvarez brings experience and toughness, while Crawford offers intelligence and adaptability. His breakdown shows why the fight has split opinions across the boxing world, with both sides having valid reasons to back their fighter. For Collins, it all comes down to execution on fight night rather than pre-fight predictions.
Where's your head at with this?
I'm a fan of Canelo. I love his style. I like how he fights. I like everything about him, his boxing. Crawford is a very good fighter. And some people believe and think that maybe Canelo might not be taking him serious. People think, oh, Canelo's got this attitude, oh, I'm bigger than him, I'm stronger than him. This is what they think Canelo's thinking. And they think, people believe that Canelo goes in underestimating Crawford. He could be in for a shock. I don't believe Canelo is underestimating him because he's too long in the tooth. He's been around the game. He's too wise, too successful to underestimate anybody. But also in saying that, Canelo's been around a long time. He's got a lot of hard fights under his belt, and I wonder, is every fight, next fight is going to be his last fight? Has Canelo still got it in the tank? We don't know. We know on the night Crawford is good enough to beat him. Canelo's good enough to beat Crawford, and in saying that, I'm looking forward to the fight because I really don't know. I can't pick a winner. That's what's great about this fight because I really cannot pick a winner.
Do you think size will play a factor in this fight?
But size can play a factor if you know how to use it to your advantage. Sometimes size can be to a disadvantage. I don't really think the size is going to make that much of a difference, really. But then Canelo is clever enough, he can use his weight to a positive. I I don't really know. See, I can't simplify it and say, oh, yes, size will make a difference. That's what's great about this fight. I can't.
Michael Bisping, the former UFC champion, weighed in on the boxing super fight by highlighting the theme of legacy. He called Canelo Alvarez the face of boxing and recognized Terence Crawford as the undisputed champion of his division. According to Bisping, this fight goes beyond money or belts, it's about cementing legacy. For Canelo, beating an unbeaten and respected opponent like Crawford would further elevate his historic career. For Crawford, stepping up to face Alvarez is the ultimate chance to prove himself against boxing's biggest star. Bisping's view underscores the deeper meaning of this fight. Both men are battling for their place in history, not just another win.
Remember that Canelo Alvarez is kind of the face of boxing, but he's currently the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter. Canelo is only number 8, and of course number 1 is Alexander Usyk. A man that also, let's remember, moved up weight classes. If Crawford wins here, he becomes the first ever 3-weight undisputed boxing champion, but he's up against big competition in Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is one of, if not the biggest star in boxing. All of the pressure is on Alvarez being the larger fighter, and also, as I said, being considered the face of boxing. Now, Alvarez himself, he has unified the entire super middleweight division. After moving up from lower weight classes himself, unifying is a very rare achievement, but it also means that this fight is for all of Canelo's belt. Canelo is much more experienced, of course. His resume is stacked, and he's fought some of the best from 154 all the way up to 175. People like Triple G, 3 times, Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather, Daniel Jacobs, Miguel Cotto, to name but a few. But his home has always been at 168 pounds. Canelo is unbeaten at super middleweight and only losing twice in his whole career versus Dimitri Bivol at light heavyweight in 2022. And Floyd Mayweather years ago, 2013, at 154 pounds. Funnily enough, 154 pounds is the highest weight that Crawford has competed at. All right, if you're a boxing fan, then you're in for a treat because we've got a fight that transcends titles. We've got Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed champion, taking on the 3-division king, Terence Crawford.
Bruce Carrington addressed the rumors of Canelo Alvarez sparring Jaron Ennis in preparation for his fight with Crawford. He stressed that sparring is just sparring and shouldn't be exaggerated. Carrington dismissed the notion that such sessions give any real advantage or indication of the fight's outcome. His comments serve as a reminder that practice is never the same as live competition, where the stakes and intensity are on an entirely different level.
And the thing is, sparring, bro. Like, it happens. Like, I've had my days where a dude might get the best of me, and then the next 4 or 5 times I spar him, I'm lighting him up. Like, it's like no competition at that point. That's how things happen.
But wouldn't you say, and I could be wrong, you're the pro here, but isn't sparring the most essential part of preparing for a fight, though?
It is to a certain extent. It is. I would say, but see, the thing is, like, when you're fighting, it's certain things you will and will not do. When you're sparring. Sparring, you trying certain things. You're more loose. You're not as, like, timid and thinking about throwing certain shots. Like, you're really taking your time. Like, there's certain times I'm sparring and like really like that.
Respected analyst Max Kellerman noted that while Canelo Alvarez has already been part of numerous major boxing events, this will be the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, as he has never faced an opponent with Alvarez's star power under such a spotlight. Kellerman also stressed that despite Canelo's experience, the fight is just as significant for him, ranking among the toughest challenges of his career.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm going to ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here. Don't tell him. But has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge, and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young, and he wasn't going to be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights.
Boxing journalist Dan Rafael called the contest fascinating but added a word of caution. He noted that neither fighter looked spectacular in their most recent outings, raising doubts about whether they are still at their absolute peak. Rafael expressed hope that this fight will push both Canelo and Crawford to come in fully prepared and showcase their best versions. His observation highlights the unpredictability of the matchup and why fans are so intrigued. A clash between two greats carries its true weight only if both arrive in top form.
Anticipated Canelo versus Crawford. It's approaching very, very soon. What do you think, Dan? I mean, it's a big event. It's probably the biggest event of the year in boxing. They're both great fighters. They're both Hall of Famers in waiting. As a boxing fan, I'm thrilled because it's a very fascinating matchup with two all-time greats. With the obviously caveat that you got Terence Crawford moving up two weight classes to see what he can do against the undisputed champ. Neither guy looked good in their last fight, but I suspect they're going to be a lot more into this fight. You know who you got in front of you in September, and Crawford's saying, I'm fighting the great Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's like, I'm fighting the 4-division champ, pound-for-pound type guy, and Crawford that's never lost. I better be really prepared. So I'm hopeful that aspect that they're really tuned in will make it a bigger and better.
Former champion Jarrett Hurd shared his experience sparring with Terence Crawford, admitting he was unable to back Crawford up during their sessions, a testament to Crawford's strength, resilience, and ring intelligence. For Hurd, this serves as a warning to Canelo Alvarez that Crawford may be far harder to pressure than many expect. Such testimony from a fellow professional adds weight to the argument that Crawford has the tools to absorb heavy attacks, fueling the debate over whether Canelo's power will be enough to break down an opponent who has already proven his toughness against world-class fighters in training.
Noticed before the fight mentally that might give us an indication as to where these two guys are at. The major talking point of physicality and size is something that we're absolutely going to have to cover. I'm definitely going to try and come down one way or the other on this before we see the two men in the ring. Can Crawford take those punches? Will he hit hard enough to hurt Canelo? How has preparation gone for the two men? And finally, tactically, do I think that Crawford can execute a game plan that would allow him to beat Canelo Alvarez and become the first ever 3-weight undisputed world champion? I'm probably going to change my mind a couple of times along the way in this one, guys, because it really is that hard to pick. So watch me as I go through the process of figuring out who wins this damn fight. Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. I'm absolutely buzzing for this fight. I know that the promotion and the hype for this one has been a bit weird. I don't know why. I really thought that Netflix were going to go all out on this because obviously the whole reason they put these fights on is to try and get more subscribers on their platform. And look, maybe it does giant numbers and I've just missed something here, but it does feel a little weird, this build-up. Even the weird face-off where they're standing on that float in the water, it's just something not quite there and not quite right with it. But it doesn't matter to me because I love boxing and I can put all that aside and go, I've thought about this endlessly, I've analyzed and assessed everything, and I just have the hardest time picking a winner here because I can see ways that both men can win. I can see what's more likely. I can see which way my mind is going, and it's a real battle for me here because sometimes I just have a feeling about things, but I hate feelings when it comes to boxing. It doesn't matter how you feel. Facts are your friends. I'm going to try and give you as many facts, or at least try and read between the lines as much as I can in this.
Analysts observing Crawford's camp report that his team is training with tremendous intensity, sharpening both skill and strategy. Rumors of a possible shoulder injury have been dismissed as baseless, with the latest updates confirming his preparation remains unaffected. Crawford is expected to enter the fight fully healthy, reassuring fans that both fighters will compete at their best without excuses tied to physical setbacks. For a bout of such historic significance, it is crucial that both men are free from major injuries and focused solely on performing at the highest level.
One shot to the body and he can take out Crawford. That's the reality of this fight. But look, the point of what I'm making here is if that shoulder injury is real, we're not going to know about it because Team Crawford's adamantly denied it. And let's just suppose that he is there for a payday. You're not going to know about any injury because they want people to buy the fight, they want people to watch it. And also, they're not going to want their opponent to know that there's any weakness coming into it to give them the best chance possible. And, we know Canelo likes to hit the arms where he can to tie you out and weaken you. So if that shoulder injury is legit, then there's massive problems, but let's assume that it's not going to be an issue in this prediction. There's also been the chat about Canelo sparring Jerome Boots Ennis, which is probably pretty good preparation, being he's a switch hitter, he's smaller and faster, similar to Terence Crawford in some ways, although I also think quite different, but are you going to get much better sparring than that? Probably not. People saying that it might have been too much for Canelo, it might have affected his confidence, taken too much out of him. I saw Teddy Atlas saying that, you don't want to break your guy in the gym and all this, and I just think we have no idea what kind of sparring they were doing. Jerome Ennis could have gone in there and done purely tech sparring.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.